Weird.
We can't all make declarations of hatred at the same time. Hi, everybody.
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
你好中国，你叫西娜，我爱更尊重中。Shield up. There's nothing sacred.
Now wait a Alson, help me up onto his casket so I can dance on it.
I don't care.
But how did you ever find us?
Oh, easy. We just read the screenplay you left us.
And Hispanic people, too.
Globe gold! Globe gold! Globe gold!
You get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir!
I'll help you. Everything is sexist. Everything is racist. Everything is homophobic. And you have to point it all out.
Get up, it's morning, time to get mad. 'Cause everything in Hollywood is just so bad. From laughs to nonsense and just plain cringe. These directors and celebrities are on the fringe. So pour some coffee into your cup and listen, 'cause it's time to wake the hell up. The rage is real, we're not performing. This is Marvin, Movie Monster in the morning.
Good morning, one and all. Thank you for joining us for episode 3 of Marvin Movie Monster in the morning. I am Marvin, and I'm the Movie Monster, and I am caffeinating myself right now. It's actually my first cup of coffee of the day. I've been up since 7 o'clock, and I have not had coffee yet, which is very, very weird for me. Typically, it's the first thing I do. I had to get a bunch of that Park Place stuff done early this morning because my new washer dryer was being delivered, and that has happened finally, and so that is all set up. So now it won't take me 3 cycles to dry clothes anymore. So thank goodness for that. Welcome to all of you guys out there in the chat right now, everyone who's returning, and all of our new subscribers, because we do have a number of new subscribers that have just recently found the channel since we've been back to making regular videos again. Hope you guys are enjoying this morning's video about The Rock and the yesterday's video, which was about all things James Gunn and my undying hatred for the man. So yeah, welcome to all of our new. Actually, the Tooneytown TV is now the #1 Tooneytown channel. We have surpassed the wrestling channel in terms of subscriber count. So yeah, you guys did it. Congratulations. I mean, I know this is kind of the Clone Wars. It's both my channels, but I'm like, you know, warring between them, but whatever. So, guys, we have a lot to talk about today. We've got a couple of stories. We have 3 that we're definitely going to touch on, and then 1 that we're going to touch on if we have time. If not, then I'll save that for the next one. I don't know. So we're not going to have a Marvin Movie Monster in the morning on Friday because I'm going to be going away for the weekend, taking my wife away for the weekend, and we are going to actually try to unplug and, you know, enjoy life a little bit, which has not been easy to do when you are constantly working the way that I am. So, Kendrick Lamas says we beat the Philistine wrestling fans. You did. You guys did it. But tomorrow night, obviously, we are going to be doing Toonie Talk TV. Myself, Kevin, Trish, Lauren, Martin, Nolan. We are all going to be together and just, you know, having our normal free form conversation with you guys as well. So this show, like all of our shows, is made for you and financed by you. We count on your generous super chats to keep the lights on around here. So super chats, gifted memberships, anything you guys want to send in is always so much appreciated. Only send what you can, of course. Don't put yourself into financial ruin to support the show. I will stop to read your super chats in between each article. I do break for super chats of $50 or more. So if you send in a $50 or more super chat or gift 10 memberships or more, I will stop to acknowledge whatever it is you've said. All right, let's, I will stop as long as I see it. When I'm reading articles, sometimes I can't actually see the super chats, but I will get to it as soon as, excuse me, as soon as humanly possible. Wow, it's that kind of morning. No, that's a coffee. All right. Let's dive in, guys. We've got a lot to talk about. So, let's get this up here on the screen. One of my favorite stories of the day. All right, guys. Jimmy Kimmel ratings have cratered. Drops 85% of key viewers since his return to late night Disney TV. So don't call it a comeback because, well, it isn't one. Ratings for Jimmy Kimmel Live have absolutely cratered since the controversial partisan host's return to the Disney-owned ABC late night lineup. Now, when Jimmy Kimmel returned to his late night show after a suspension that made national headlines, ABC promoted it as a triumphant comeback. And for a moment, that hype worked. Curiosity drove a temporary spike in viewership. I think it got up to about 6.3 million people watched him that first night back. I would love to see the quarter hours on that because I bet you after the monologue, it drops like a stone. The second he started getting into his wildly unfunny sketch with Robert De Niro, I'm sure it just cratered and head bumped into the ground. But within just 2 weeks, the Jimmy Kimmel ratings have cratered, shedding a massive and devastating 85% of his key audience and returning to levels that once had industry insiders questioning whether his show could even survive. Now, the numbers don't lie. Hollywood lies, but the numbers do not. Now, according to Fox News, Jimmy Kimmel Live has lost 85% of its key demographic viewers since that hype comeback. On Thursday, October 2nd, the show averaged 1.9 million total viewers, a loss of 71% from the audience of 6.3 million that tuned in for his return from suspension. Now, the drop is even more dramatic in the advertiser-favored 25 to 54 demographic. Kimmel's show went from 1.7 million viewers in that age group on the return night to just 265,000 by Thursday. Now, that is an 85% decline. Now, that is not a small dip, guys. That is a complete collapse. People tuned in for the return. And honestly, that was his chance. If he went out there and he swung for the fences with actual comedy and maybe didn't lean so much into partisan stuff, actually, he might have gotten people to stick around. He might have gotten people to tune in the next night. He might have gotten people to continue on. But he doesn't tell jokes. He just rails against the president, which I don't care where you are in the political aisle. I don't understand why you want to just watch that rage. I don't know, man. I watch TV and movies to unplug. And this is why I created this channel, because I'm so sick and tired of seeing politics being driven into everything. It's taken over movies, it's taken over gaming, it's taken over TV. Now it's taken over late night, which Johnny Carson had once turned into a national mainstay. It was an important part of U.S. culture was the Tonight Show and things of the like. I mean, even Leno. I mean, Jay Leno had gotten so big at one point that he fought Hulk Hogan. The less said about that, the better. But anyway, ABC, which is owned by Disney, has not officially commented on the figures, but the data tells a story clearly. Viewers leaving in droves. Now, right here, what you see, this is not from this current one. This is to illustrate another point that we're about to make. These are his numbers from January 31st, 2025 to August 31st, 2025. Now, you see it starts up here, and by August, I mean, it's down here. So hold on. So for context, late night TV has been shrinking for years, but even among struggling competitors, Kimmel's decline stands out. Now, while the Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon, and the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, which was recently canceled, have managed to maintain modest stability in their terrible ratings. Their ratings are terrible, but they're mostly steadily terrible. Kimmel's ratings nosedive more sharply than anyone else's, falling nearly 50% from January 2025 to August 2025. This is a massive collapse, guys. Massive. Look at that. That is not the number that you want to see if you're an advertising executive. You're trying to sell ads to Coca-Cola and things like that on for this what used to be one of the most coveted ad spots in all of television. Who wants to buy that? And this is why, like, we always laugh about the key demo on the wrestling channel when it comes to AEW, but on network television, the key demo is actually super important. And to an extent, it is important on cable as well. It's how the company makes its money, its advertising dollars. So both the total viewership and the key demo are important. So that's despite all the media oxygen that surrounded the return of Jimmy Kimmel. After weeks of coverage about his suspension, Jimmy Kimmel's show had a massive spotlight moment and he blew it. Now, of course, the audience has just moved on. Kimmel's problem is simple. Viewers no longer trust him to be funny, fair, or even entertaining. His brand of smirking political humor, which was once edgy, now feels tired and predictable. His show relies less on jokes and more on lectures, often directed at half the country. That's the thing. When you rail against half the country every night, half the country is going to tune out. Eventually, they're not going to keep coming. They're not masochists that are going to keep coming back for more. They don't want a smirking millionaire talking down to them the way he does, the way all of Hollywood does, really. But I mean, like, he has his bully pulpit, and people are always like, oh, Marv, you praise Gutfeld, but you don't like Kimmel. Like, that's just politics. And I'm like, no, it's not. Gutfeld is on Fox News. Gutfeld is supposed to be a political show. It's on a political channel. It's on a news channel, which means the show is about politics. Jimmy Kimmel Live is on ABC, the American Broadcasting Company, which means that the show is supposed to be for everyone. If Jimmy Kimmel was on, MS Now or CNN or something like that, his ratings would be worse than they are now. But at least then you could be like, yeah, no, like, no one's going to give him guff for doing political stuff there because he's on a political channel. But when Kimmel used his comeback monologue to openly weep before pivoting to make snide remarks about President Trump, it may have played well with his Hollywood peers, but it didn't sit well with the millions of Americans who used to tune in for laughs and not lectures. The irony, of course, here is that Trump remains one of the most watched political figures in the country. Kimmel, meanwhile, can barely hold an audience of 2 million. The joke has been turned on him, and audiences got the message. Now, let's talk about the broader decline of late-night TV, because that's important in this conversation. The late-night landscape used to be a crown jewel for network television with, like I said, hosts like Jay Leno, David Letterman, and even early era Jimmy Kimmel. They would pull in viewership that rivaled primetime numbers, and today the genre is just on life support. When Kimmel first launched in 2003, he typically drew between 2.5 and 3 million viewers. Today, that number has plummeted. Now, he was at 1.7 million, I think I said last week. It was far lower than that still before it was down around like 1 million, I think, or like 1.2 million before the suspension. So it's slowly falling down the hill. Some people, I guess, stuck around, but not nearly enough, especially in the key demo. I mean, 200,000 people in the key demo, that's AEW numbers. That's terrible. Well, AEW wouldn't have 1.7 million viewers, but that's besides the point. The key group, so even worse, his 18 to 49 demo has shrunk to a fraction of what it once was as well. The Kimmel post-suspension rating slide is the latest symptom of that collapse. The problem isn't just him, it's what late night has become. Once a place for spontaneous comedy and cultural connection, it's now just an echo chamber of progressive politics and self-congratulation. And it's not, guys, I don't care if you're a liberal. I welcome everyone on this channel. Seriously, I welcome liberals, conservatives, libertarians, anyone, as long as you have an open mind. The point is, you can't just be so openly partisan and expect to draw the huge audiences that late night is supposed to draw. That's the thing. So now, the media spin machine, this is the part that got me absolutely incensed. You wouldn't know any of this if you only read the mainstream entertainment press. Outlets like USA Today flooded the search results this week with puff pieces about how Kimmel joked about how his ratings are better than President Trump's. Now, they did this instead of reporting on the actual Jimmy Kimmel ratings number, which was most, major outlets. Instead, they ran those distraction pieces focusing on his monologue. So when you typed Jimmy Kimmel ratings into Google, You'd find the Fox News article. You would find this article here from That Park Place, but you'd find a lot of Jimmy Kimmel says his ratings are better than Trump because they're all hiding it. None of them want to actually report on what's happening. So the media protection may be doing more harm than good, though. The truth is ABC's late night ratings collapse is part of a much larger trend for Disney. The company has spent the last few years alienating large portions of its audience while doubling down on political narratives that turn off families and everyday viewers. Kimmel is now part of that same machine, a late night host who reflects corporate Disney's worldview more than public sentiment. And that is very, very important. So this is, guys, a comeback in name only. We have not yet seen how low Jimmy Kimmel's ratings can go. It's going to get lower before it gets better. I don't think it's ever going to get better. Really, there's nothing he could do at this point. He's just riding out his contract. Now, he has said in the past that when his contract expires in spring of 2026 that he's done. I am wondering if that's still the case now that there was like this cultural flashpoint. I wonder if he's going to stay just to try to stick it to the president, or if Disney's going to keep him. If Disney doesn't renew his contract and he wants to stay, though, it's going to be another blow up, because here's the thing. When Disney canceled Roseanne, for example, and you know what, let's take a look at that, because I made this listicle for That Park Place. 5 canceled celebrities who never got the Jimmy Kimmel comeback treatment from Hollywood elites, because, you know, free speech is conditional. One of the biggest ones, the first one we talked about, was Roseanne Barr. This woman made a joke that was tasteless. You know, she claimed she didn't know the race of the person that she was making the joke about. And whether you believe that or not is entirely between you, Roseanne, and God. But she was, when ABC canceled her show had pulled in for its return 18 million people. She was infinitely more popular than Jimmy Kimmel, and they never brought her back. Jimmy Kimmel was a ratings black hole for ABC, and they canceled him and were forced to bring him back because of outside political pressure. So, you know, guys, this is, you know, you can actually, so the thing about Roseanne that really sticks in my craw is that they've erased the poor lady from, you know, they erased her from the history of comedy. Like in women's stand-up comedy, Roseanne Barr is a trailblazer, and they won't even talk about her anymore. They won't even talk about how she created opportunities for so many female comics. Especially, it's just funny, Hollywood, who, you know, they love to champion women's movements. This was an actual trailblazer, Roseanne Barr, and, you know, she was the most popular comedian in the world in the 90s at one point. And yeah, they've just completely removed her from history. So you guys should check out this listicle. We talk about Roseanne. We talk about Gilbert Gottfried, how he was canceled until the day he died. Rest in peace, Gilbert. You are the king of comedy. I love Gilbert Gottfried so much. Justin Roiland, who was accused of things, and who's accused of domestic issues. You know, we'll call it what it is. I think he was accused of domestic violence, and then was found innocent in a court of law. And so he was fired after the accusations came out, found innocent in a court of law, and then they never brought him back to Rick and Morty or Solar Opposites. He remains canceled despite the fact that he was found innocent. So there's no escaping the court of public opinion. Then you have Gina Carano, of course, who the only reason she's making a comeback now is because she forced them into court. She forced them into court to get back into Hollywood, essentially. All she said was that neighbors shouldn't turn against neighbors, and they twisted it into this weird, political statement. And, you know, her own co-stars, who were comparing half of the country to Yahtzees at that point, we're just standing back and letting it happen, and Disney did nothing to them. So Gina is making her comeback, thank goodness. But, you know, it's a big uphill battle for her to be noticed. And they tried to erase her from MMA. ESPN did that whole article about women's MMA trailblazers, and Gina Carano was not on it. And even Dana White from the UFC was like, that's ridiculous. Then you have James Woods, the guy who, was dropped by his talent agency just because he's a Republican, just because he speaks out publicly. And guys, again, I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, libertarian, or what. All I care about is the fact that you have an open mind and that you're understanding about things like this, because you cannot deny the fact. Here's a 4th of July. I'm feeling patriotic. I don't want to represent you anymore. From Ken Kaplan, his former agent. Guys, at the end of the day, just have an open mind. Be kind to one another. and understand what free speech is. I mean, the point of it is you're not going to get sent to jail for things that you say. ABC was in its rights to take Jimmy Kimmel off the air because it is a private employer. It is an employer whose employee said something, who spread misinformation about the death of Charlie Kirk, tried to say that the alleged assassin of Charlie Kirk was, a conservative Trump supporter, when that was undeniably false, based on information that was available at the time. So they were within their rights to do that. They were, and honestly, guys, they were within their rights to get rid of Roseanne too. I will say that. Because they're an employer, and when an employee says something like that in public, they are within their rights to do it. The point, the way we have free speech is because if you tried to say something like speak against Putin in Russia on late night TV and in Russia, you would be thrown in jail more than likely. You would be thrown in jail in China if you tried to speak up against President Pooh Bear. These are the things that would 100% happen to you in countries that are not free. So Jimmy Kimmel is back. His ratings are cratering as the universe returns back to its state of normalcy. So what do you guys think? Have you watched Kimmel since he's come back? Sound off in the comments below and let me know. All right, so let's see what you guys have to say out there in the chat. Night Rabbit for $10. Saying noticing Ryan Kimmel and Nerdrotic repeatedly referencing your articles. Congrats, buddy. Hey, thanks, Night Rabbit. That has been such a huge thrill. I am incredibly humbled whenever one of these, big YouTubers uses any of my stuff. It is always a thrill. I see my stuff on Ryan Kimmel. I see it on, I saw it on Friday Night Tights last week when they were using our article on James Gunn. So yeah, seeing Gary. I mean, Gary is one of the reasons I got into this in the beginning. And so I've met those guys. I met them at MegaCon a couple of years ago when I was just like, I mean, we only had the wrestling channel at the time. I had just done the My NDA song, and I was asking for advice from Gary and from Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, and you could not meet two kinder, more gracious, more patient people on the planet, because it would have been so easy for these guys who are titans in this industry to just be like, yeah, that's great, thanks, whatever, go away. And no, they stopped. They talked to me. They gave me advice. They gave me business advice because we were just about to launch Toonie Talk Wrestling. And so I was asking them about Super Chat stuff. Just the nicest human beings alive. And to know that my work makes it onto their shows, I mean, incredibly humbled, incredibly grateful. Just thank you to any of them. And Yellow Flash uses it a lot as well. It's been Smash JT also. I mean, love Smash JT. He's amazing. Grums has been tweeting out a lot of our stuff. So yeah, I'm super, super grateful for everyone in our space. Oh, Vera Dark. I can't not mention Vera Dark. She uses our stuff all the time, and she's become a friend, and she's just such a great person, great talent, great YouTube channel. Go subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to Nerdrotic, subscribe to Geeks and Gamers, Ryan Kimmel, Smash JT, Vera Dark, all of them. Yellow Flash. They're all awesome people. Maddie for $4.99 says, Marv, if that Booster Gold casting rumor comes true for the Peacemaker finale, I'm done with DC Films. Yeah. Now, the rumor is that Booster Gold is going to be played by Kumail Nanjiani, the guy from Eternals. And if that happens, man, it's clear that they don't care about Booster Gold anymore. Or they never did. I could see it happening. It's been heavily rumored for a long time. He was at the premiere of Superman and Peacemaker, I think. So, yeah, I have a horrible feeling that we're going to see it, guys. John Common for $5 says, Jimmy at 80% less than his return audience. The power of many. I like that. Use their own stuff against them. Very well done. You know what? Hold on. Let me switch my. You know what? I'm going to leave the Marvin in the Morning image up there just to kind of help promote. But yeah, thank you guys so much for Hey, good to see Tom F out there. I see Ryan Damon. I see Jim Jam. I see Juliet, Maddie. Nice to see you guys there in the chat here today. I am really enjoying doing this show. I was really on the fence about doing it. I was like, it's early in the morning. I don't know if people are going to show up. I don't know if people are going to participate. I'm by myself, which is a big fear of mine when it comes to doing live streams, but I'm really enjoying this. So let's have a look at another ratings story here, guys, because we have another ratings story that people are getting a little testy about. All right, guys, the ratings for Peacemaker are tanking as James Gunn's DC experiment continues to lose viewers and respect. Of course, this comes from thatparkplace.com, the website that you should be bookmarked to and going to for all of your news. So James Gunn might be calling fans racist, as we did talk about here on the channel earlier, but it turns out audiences are calling him something else entirely: irrelevant. The new season of Peacemaker, once hailed as the bridge to Gunn's new DC universe, is flopping so hard in the ratings that it's not even charting on streaming. Now, it's nowhere to be found on Nielsen, which is how you measure ratings, especially in streaming right now. According to multiple reports, including data compiled by Nielsen and Samba TV, Peacemaker Season 2 is a non-factor in the streaming charts. The show has not cracked Nielsen's top 10, and its Cosmic Book News noted not a single episode has shown up since its debut. This is the top 10 Nielsen streaming shows from September 1st to September 7th, when Peacemaker was going on. You have Wednesday, which was very clearly the number one show. I mean, far and away from Netflix. My Life with the Walter Boys for number 2 from Netflix. The Summer I Turned Pretty from Prime Video. The Terminalist Dark Wolf from Prime Video. Katrina Come Hell and High Water from Netflix. Miss Rachel on Netflix, The Great British Baking Show on Netflix, NCIS Tony and Ziva on Paramount Plus, Alien Earth on Hulu, and The Paper on Peacock. Now, I've been watching The Paper. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not The Office. I mean, if you're looking for a new version of The Office, it ain't it. But The Paper's pretty good. I do like it. But even Samba TV, which tracks viewership across millions of smart TVs, shows the series is slipping fast, falling to number 16 among original streaming shows by its 4th episode. So they said, the latest Samba TV weekly wrap is here. Wednesday, Season 2, Task, Season 1, a.k.a. Charlie Sheen, The Summer I Turned Pretty, The Terminalist, Unknown Number, High School Catfish. And this was for the week of September 8th to 14th. And somebody said no Peacemaker. And Samba TV says, we took a look. Peacemaker landed at number 16 in this week's streaming top 10. 16! Guys, take a look at this. K-pop Demon Hunters is still on this list. It came out months ago at this point. You look at these things. Task S1, aka Charlie Sheen, The Summer Turned Pretty, Terminalist Dark Wolf, Unknown Number, The High School Catfish, Beauty in Black, K-pop Demon Hunters, Only Murders in the Building, The Wrong Paris. Guys, also, to point out, HBO Max does have a high-ranking show on here, but, it ain't Peacemaker. Nobody's watching it. There's a massive drop-off for what Warner Bros. Discovery was reportedly positioning as a connective tissue between Gunn's Superman film and his new Gods and Monsters slate. Now, it's funny because they said at HBO Max that, oh, by the way, how is it possible, if nobody knows the HBO Max numbers, that they know that Samba TV knows that number 2 here was Task S1, Task Season 1, just, crossing the streams a little bit, but whatever. They were saying that Peacemaker is the number 1 show on HBO Max, but that's not true. Task is. So when a show tied directly to your cinematic reboot can't even appear in the same charts as The Great British Baking Show and The Paper, something has gone seriously wrong. Now, of course, Hollywood trades and entertainment blogs have been eager to describe Peacemaker as edgy, bold, and uncompromising. And Gunn himself bragged in GQ that he had virtually no oversight from Warner Brothers, saying he could do whatever I want. And maybe, guys, that's the problem. Because James Gunn, again, and I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but this guy has made himself the focal point of the DC universe since he started it. And if you are a creative on the back end, people don't need to see your face. It's not like you're Quentin Tarantino, where the draw here is I'm going to see a Quentin Tarantino movie, or Kevin Smith even. Where it's like, hey, it's Jay and Silent Bob, it's Kevin Smith, I'm going to go see a Kevin Smith movie. Nobody is like, hey, Superman, that James Gunn movie, let me go see that because I want to see James Gunn. No one cares about James Gunn. Honestly, I would venture to guess that most casual superhero fans don't even know who James Gunn was. And so you can get all the James Gunny uplift by just saying in the TV spots from the director of Guardians of the Galaxy. And then people are like, oh, Guardians of the Galaxy, I like that. I'll go see it. Instead, he thinks everybody wants his opinions. He thinks everyone wants to hear him talk. And he's doing it at the expense of his actors. I mean, look at this right now. To introduce the trailer. The first trailer for Peacemaker was introduced by James Gunn by himself. And then it was him and John Cena. Why can't John Cena just do it? Why can't a guy who has been popular in the wrestling world for Madonna me. Like, I mean, he started, WrestleMania 20 was kind of when he got put on the map. It's over 20 years now. This guy has been a phenomenon. And now he's crossing to entertainment and he's actually a pretty decent actor. Why not let him carry the bulk of this promotion? Why not let John Cena do your talking for you, James Gunn? Because you are so egomaniacal that you cannot step out of the way for 3 freaking seconds to let this man be the face. Because God forbid anyone is the face of anything that you make other than you. Could you imagine? I can't even. Like, if Kevin Feige's jumping in front of Robert Downey Jr., I don't think it's going to happen. Audience didn't tune in for political commentary or heavy-handed messaging, which Peacemaker has become. Remember, it was, I don't think this Yahtzee world is all that different from ours, and which was the most ridiculous thing. They wanted superheroes, not lectures, and instead Gunn filled Peacemaker with bizarre moral parallels, likening Christianity to fascism, equating alternate Earth dictatorships with modern America, and turning once fun characters into mouthpieces for his own worldview. Now, what might have been quirky fun in season 1 has now become a political statement that alienates the very viewers DC needs to win back. And guys, I stand by that. I liked Peacemaker season 1. I did. I thought it was good. I had fun with it. I thought the last 2 episodes got a little heavy-handed with messaging, but I, for the most part, really liked it. So when Peacemaker season 2 started, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I'll like this. And it is just, it's clear that James Gunn, despite the fact that he, like DC, always worshipped the ground that he walked on and let him do what he wanted, he still had some oversight when he made Peacemaker season 1. He is just doing whatever he wants now. He's unleashed. It's the equivalent of everyone really liked Thor Ragnarok, or most people really liked Thor Ragnarok, when Marvel was holding Taika Waititi's leash. And then they let him off the leash for Love and Thunder, and he went full Taika, and everyone hated it. Everyone loved Wonder Woman when Patty Jenkins was being controlled, by her producers. And then Wonder Woman 1984, they let her off the leash, and she turned Wonder Woman into a sex offender. So, these directors, they can't be given full reign. There's always got to be somebody pulling them back. Cosmic Book News put it bluntly, the logic that Superman would feed Peacemaker simply does not add up. Gunn's grand plan was that Superman would funnel audiences into his broader DC universe, starting with the continuation of Peacemaker, and instead viewers did not follow. If this was supposed to be the warm-up act for the DCU's future, the audience just left the theater. Now, it's also impossible to ignore how this collapse ties into his own words. When Peacemaker Season 2 started facing backlash online, Gunn didn't respond with humility or openness. He said, I have a few racists that have called me polarizing, but I'm okay with being polarizing and letting racists fall to the wayside. So, attack the audience because it couldn't possibly be me. That single quote sums up Hollywood's ongoing fan blaming playbook. So where does this leave DC? Warner Bros. Discovery has been betting big on James Gunn as both creative architect and brand savior, but after The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman 2, which admittedly were produced before James Gunn took the reins, the company needed a big win. Now, Superman was a modest theatrical win, depending on what you want to believe. Now, what's not up for debate, it did not make the same as Man of Steel. There were reports that came out that because the majority of Superman's box office came from domestic box office and not so much from worldwide, that it was actually a more profitable movie than Man of Steel, because in Man of Steel did very well overseas, where Warner Brothers gets less of the percentage, especially in places like China, where the Chinese government gets a lot of the money that goes to that. Like, that's why the Chinese box office chasing that is so stupid. It's just a prestige thing. People to say my movie made $1 billion instead of, like, you didn't make $1 billion. The Chinese government siphoned some of that money away. So Superman was a modest theatrical win. Peacemaker was supposed to be the TV rating smash this fledgling universe needed to propel it into Man of Tomorrow. That's not what happened. They're getting silenced. No viewership celebrations, no record-breaking headlines, no marketing victory lap. Just the quiet thud of a once promising property disappearing from the charts. So if Peacemaker can't hold attention and ratings now, what happens when audiences are asked to invest in another 10 years of gun storytelling? Oh my God, I'm going to get agita. So guys, there you have it. Peacemaker not charting. Now it's possible as more episodes come in, because the way streaming is measured, guys, it's measured in minutes watched. So the number you see here, like 3,338 minutes, that's minutes in millions. So, you know, it's like, so Peacemaker, the more episodes you have out, the more minutes watched, theoretically, you should get as new people come onto the show. They binge it as they come up. So as Peacemaker, now we're in the end game right now. Peacemaker, but by the time this video actually comes out, it might be over already. But Peacemaker is ending this week. Thank God. Oh, thank God. I said that and like a weight lifted off my shoulders because I have to watch it for the channel. So with 8 episodes out, you'd think the amount of minutes watched would go up. However, when you look at what Samba TV said, I mean, and this was, this was for September 8th to 14th. So this is a week after, those Nielsen ratings. It's still in number 16. And that was with half the episodes out, I think. So, guys, it's a matter of, Warner Brothers can tout that it's doing so well, but the actual numbers tell a different story, which is typically the case. So what do you guys think? Do you think Peacemaker is losing viewers? Sound off in the comment section below and let me know. All right, man, we are moving along today. Ryan Damon for $5 says, bring Mistress Trish to the show before she goes to bed for the morning afternoon. Yeah, that ain't. I told Trish, I said, people want you to be my co-host in the morning. And I told them that, by that point, you're just going to bed. And she's like, I'm not just going to bed. I've probably been in bed for like 3 hours at the time. So yeah, Trish, she's up she has vampire hours. She is up most of the night. And then she's well asleep at this point. Like she's in the Odin sleep at this point. I'd love, and honestly, I'd love to have Trish on the morning show, but I don't want to eat up too much of her time. She'll be there tomorrow night. So come check her out. She was on Lauren and Apollo with us last night too. We had a great time. It was almost the full Toonie crew last night, because it was Lauren and Apollo, obviously, and then me, Nolan, and Trish. The only one we didn't have was Martin. So yeah. All right, let's get to our next story here, guys. If you have anything to say, make sure that you super chat to let us know. Which one do I want to do? I have a story about Ridley Scott, and I have a story about the Bond thing. Let's go with the Bond thing. Yeah, let's talk about that. All right, guys. Amazon. Oh, excuse me. All right, guys. Amazon has removed guns from James Bond images and then puts them back after backlash. This is a story that, there's both good and bad in this story, because on the one hand, the fact that they ever thought to remove I'm thinking James Gunn, still DC. The fact that they ever thought to remove James Bond's guns in the images shows where Amazon's head is when it's looking at Bond. We were all afraid that they were going to look at Bond and be like, toxic male must destroy. And it looks like they might be doing that, but they listened to people. They realized people didn't like that, and then they corrected their mistake, which is something that would never have happened during the Jennifer Salke era. So, for a company that spent nearly $8.5 billion acquiring MGM, and with it the entire James Bond catalog, you'd think Amazon might understand what makes 007 007. But over the weekend, Amazon Prime Video managed to shoot itself squarely in the foot by scrubbing guns from the James Bond promotional artwork images, only to restore them after a massive public outcry. So, fans first noticed that something was off when they were scrolling through Amazon Prime's videos for their James Bond listings, and iconic posters for Dr. No, GoldenEye, and Spectre suddenly appeared without the series' most recognizable accessory, Bond's Walther PPK. So here you see Bleeding Fool says it right here. I love our friends over at Bleeding Fool. Does Amazon remove the guns from key art used on every James Bond film on Prime, ostensibly to provide a unified look for the series on streaming? Alas, removing the images, removing the weapons left 007 in some awkward poses. You see right here, Pierce Brosnan just, looks strange, just holding his arm up like that. Then you have Connery over here, where there's obviously supposed to be a weapon, and you see it right here. It's supposed to be, right there against his arm, and now his arm is just kind of, he looks like he's hugging himself, which is really weird. And then Roger Moore, they made Roger Moore just look like Mr. Rogers. It looks like he's wearing a cardigan. And then, Daniel Craig here has a empty holster. So, guys, did they not realize that the logo for James Bond is a gun? I don't know. So the edits are immediately obvious. Within hours, the gunless Bond images went viral. Reddit threads exploded. X lit up with memes, and entertainment outlets like Deadline and The Guardian even confirmed that Amazon had indeed replaced traditional Bond imagery with sanitized, digitally altered versions. Now, the outrage wasn't about politics. It was authenticity, because James Bond has carried a firearm on every mission since 1962. The tuxedo, the martini, and the gun are all a part of the same visual identity. A gun is even a part of the franchise's iconic logo. Remove one, and you strip away part of what makes James Bond special as a character. I loved this from Scribelight, where it's now it's going to be, instead of through the barrel of a gun, it's going to be through a paper towel holder. Critics accused Amazon of attempting to modernize Bond by erasing what made him Bond. Others called it an act of cultural vandalism. It was a prime example of corporate overreach, where somebody somewhere thought audiences might be offended by a movie poster from half a century ago. Nobody cares that James Bond is holding a gun, guys. Nobody cares. Even the staunchest anti-gun person on the planet is probably going to have more problems with Bond than the fact that he's holding a tiny gun in the poster. To Amazon's credit, they didn't dig in their heels. Within 24 hours of the backlash, the company quietly reverted the Bond thumbnails and artworks. Now, some posters were swapped for more neutral film stills, while others simply restored the original key art. Amazon didn't issue a formal statement, but Deadline confirmed the reversal was a direct result of the negative response. For once, the internet outrage machine may have actually done some good. Now, this was rare accountability. If this incident had happened a year or two ago during Jennifer Salke's tenure overseeing Amazon's entertainment division, it's unlikely fans would have seen such a fast turnaround. Now, under her leadership, the streamer often ignored criticism, even when audiences were shouting from the rooftops. And we saw that mostly with the Rings of Power. Jennifer Salke, was the one who essentially was keeping Rings of Power chugging along, and lied to people about it, used semantics to try to prove how good she was doing when in fact she was doing terribly. So there she is right there. But by the way, guys, Jennifer Salke wasn't fired. The official line is that she just really missed producing. She just really wanted to produce movies again, so she gave up her studio head position. That was then promptly eliminated by Amazon. Nobody has that position anymore because she just really has a passion for producing. Just like Jennifer Lee really wanted to resign as the head of Disney Animation because she really wanted to direct Frozen 3. Come on, it's so transparent and obvious. You can't separate James Bond from his weapon any more than you could separate Indiana Jones from his whip or Thor from his hammer. Those aren't props. They're symbols of the character's identity. And there's my favorite Bond, by the way. I don't know. I love to hear in the comments who your favorite Bond is, because everyone has one. Mine is Pierce Brosnan. I thought he was perfect. My first Bond film ever that I watched was GoldenEye. So, and that was because we were playing the game nonstop on Nintendo 64 as kids. And I was like, I kind of want to see the movie. And then I just started watching more Bond from there. I thought Pierce Brosnan was the perfect James Bond. I would love to see them make a movie with him now as like an old James Bond. Like an old James Bond who has to come out of retirement or something like that. I think that would be fantastic. And not a broken down, depressed old James Bond, but just a James Bond who happens to be old. I would enjoy that very, very much. So yeah, guys. So on the one side, the fact that they took the guns away from the poster in the first place was beyond dumb. It was beyond stupid. It was a brain dead move by a brain dead studio, but they get a few points from me for actually listening to the people. That's a Sonic the Hedgehog moment. That is like remember Sonic the Hedgehog came out with that horrific looking Sonic in that first trailer, and people were like, what the hell is that? Why doesn't he just look like he looks in the video game? And Paramount was like, okay, you're right. And they went back and they replaced it. And that earned them so much goodwill. Now, I don't think that this Sonic issue here, or this James Bond issue, reversing course on this is going to earn them a ton of goodwill. I think people are just pissed that it happened in the beginning, because Sonic was just a really crappy design. This was like virtue signaling. This was PC. This was censorship. So I think people are definitely going to be against that. And the fact that you removed it was kind of like a oh crap moment, rather than just like a genuine thing of like, oh, we understand what the audience wants now. It's all going to boil down to who they cast as Bond, whether they decide to make a political statement with it, or whether they decide to actually make a James Bond movie. We had heard a lot of rumors that Barbara Broccoli, who used to oversee the James Bond franchise and make all of the creative decisions for it, clashed with Jennifer Salke to an extreme extent, even going so far as to say that she wasn't letting Jennifer Salke touch Bond because she didn't want temporary people making permanent decisions when it comes to her IP. Now, because of this, Amazon had to pay the Broccoli's like a literal $1 billion to get them to walk away from the franchise, to let Amazon actually make its decisions, which I agree. You own an IP, you want to be able to make the decisions. But that was $1 billion they did not need to spend if they had just agreed to work with them. And now I'm not saying Barbara Broccoli is the person who should be, making all the decisions for Bond, because she's not. Like, arguably, like a lot of the things in the Daniel Craig era that people hated came from Barbara Broccoli. So, it's kind of out of the frying pan and into the fire a couple times. So what do you guys think? Do you give Amazon any points for reversing course on this decision? Do you think we're actually going to get a decent James Bond movie? Who's your favorite Bond? Sound off in the comments below and let me know. Fantastic. Now, Maddie says, you watch Mobland. Brosnan is fantastic. I've not watched Mobland. Don't give me if you give me another show to watch, Trish will hunt you down. So, I'm supposed to be watching Supernatural, and I'm not. So I did watch an episode though. Watched one episode. I'm trying to see if I have enough time to talk about Ridley Scott. I don't think I do. So, all right, guys. This was fun. As I said, we are not going to be doing we are not going to be doing a morning show on Friday this week, because I'm going to be away. But the plan for this show is Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. So yeah, that should be fun. I think we're going to have a good time. I have a great time doing this show. So I am not done for today, though. If you guys, first of all, make sure you're checking out the video on The Rock flopping at the box office. But I am about to head over to Midnight's Edge in the morning, which is which is my third time on that show now. I'm so thrilled to be on there with Andre, with Tom, with Chato. We have Paulie from Latino Slant on there. I mean, such great guys over there at Midnight's Edge. And so I'm going to be with them again this morning. I think we're going to be talking more about and I'm going to be redirecting you guys. So once this stream ends, you will be redirected over to Midnight's Edge. So when you get there, make sure you pop into the chat and tell them it's a Tooneytown raid, because I want them to know that, our audience is supporting them as well. So yeah, make sure to stick around for Midnight's Edge in the morning. And keep it to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun. We should have another video dropping tomorrow. I'm trying to decide whether it's going to be the Kimmel ratings story or whether it's going to be everybody hating Disney. I think it might be everybody hates Disney. And then I'll do the Kimmel ratings story for Friday morning. So we're back, guys. We are back in the saddle. We are going to get to the point within the next few weeks where we're going to be able to have more than one video per day. We're going to get back to that point. We were at a point at one time where we were doing 3 videos a day. And then when I took on the position at That Park Place, it was, it was a lot. So, but I'm learning how to manage my time effectively and devote time to the right things. So thank you guys for joining us. We will see you guys tomorrow night on Toonie Talk TV at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you're there. From all of us here at the Tooneytown Channels, I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. Now get out of here!